You know, I put this hoodie on because it's like cute and sewing themed, and then you can't even see it in the shot. Look, it has Jack Jack and Gus Gus from Cinderella. I love the sewing mice. Anywho, hi. I'm married. Holy crap, I survived. I survived my wedding. Can you believe it? Ah! Look. Hi guys, if you are just now seeing me for the first time, my name is Cheyenne. I am a cosplayer, seamstress, toy hoarder, nerd person. And I have not posted on here in a little bit, but you know what? I'm done making big long meta comments about where I've been and why I haven't been posting and oh, I want to start posting again and this is gonna be my schedule. I'm taking that pressure off of myself. I like filming, I like documenting my process, I like making stuff, and if you like watching people make stuff, then stick around. That's kind of where I'm at with this. I'm not doing the thing where I'm like, oh, this is my schedule now. I'm done doing that. I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this for fun. Even if nobody watches these but me, I feel like that's gonna be worth it. I don't know. I survived my wedding. I got married this Halloween. It was absolutely a dream. It was everything that I could have ever wanted. I made my dress. Would have been smart to film that to show you, but I didn't. And in the time since, I took November mostly off. I kind of needed to decompress after all of that and all that planning. I was also on my honeymoon for the first couple of weeks. And now I'm back, and technically this is the time that I should have been working on like a Christmas costume if I was gonna do one, and I didn't because I wanted to take November off. And I was like, I still kind of want to do something. What do I want to make in December? Do I want to make a Christmas thing? And I kind of looked at some stuff and I thought about it, and I could not make another red outfit with some fur on it. It wasn't appealing to me. And there wasn't a like Christmassy character that really jumped out to me. And I went, you know what? Maybe I will do a costume as a Christmas present to myself. And what is a thing that I would like to shoot that would be fun for me to make and shoot? Interesting for me to make. That's gonna be a little challenging, but not so much that I wanna die. Something that's kind of fun and whimsical and gives me the chance to do a really fun, creative photo shoot. And I looked through some things I've been thinking about, and I kind of thought about things that also give me like warm, fuzzy Christmas memories. And one of the first things that came to my mind was actually Tinkerbell. I know that probably makes no sense to anybody but me, but just hear me out on this. Okay, so I have very vivid memories of getting Peter Pan on VHS for Christmas. I want to say when I was 7 or 8 years old. And it's a movie that has always meant a lot to me. Pretty much every version of Peter Pan, honestly. I really love movie Tinkerbell because she is psychotic. Like, what is the way I can do this that'll be the most fun for me, the least stressful for me? So first of all, I just bought wings. Bought them from Etsy. I will tag the creator of them down below. Those are not here yet, but I ordered them actually like maybe the 1st or 2nd of November. So I ordered wings. I'm not gonna fuck with the wings. That part's not fun for me. I like to sew, right? So wings will get here when they get here. That original Tinkerbell, she's very much a pinup. She is, if you look at a lot of the concept art of Tinkerbell, they were really clearly pushing how pinup-y and how kind of sexy, for lack of a better word, that they could make Tinkerbell. And I was like, it'd be really fun to make a Tinkerbell dress that's kind of a corset dress and make a very 50s kind of pin-up version of Tinkerbell. I made a corset in a couple of years and I really like making them, so I was like, this will be really fun. So I'm gonna make a corset dress pattern, and we're going to be doing a corset dress, and I really want to emulate, when the shoot comes, the scene where she is stuck in the sewing drawer. So I have a couple of like big sewing accoutrements I'm gonna put together, and I'm gonna see if I can talk my husband husband into making me a stool that looks like a spool of thread. Oh, I gotta say my husband. Oh, that's cool. That's kind of the energy that I want to bring to this. I have my fashion fabric already. I found a really pretty silk dupioni, and I have some rhinestones, and I'm gonna see how kind of elaborate I want to make it. I'm not sure yet. But first, because I haven't made a corset in a while, and because I've never made this corset pattern, and because it's a corset dress pattern, the first thing that we've got to do is do a mock-up so I can make sure that I have the sizing correct and make sure it's actually going to fit me. And the actual corset dress pattern is relatively long, and I'm going to take the skirt and turn it into her little peaks. So we're going to go and start working on that. That's the plan. Yeah, let's go. Okay, so first things first was getting the base pattern cut out. Like I said, I'm using a pattern by Corsets by Carolyn on Etsy. I just cut it out in the size that I originally wanted to do, did all of the markings that I wanted to do because this does not have seam allowance. So I added in, I think about 1 inch seam allowance on each side for each piece, which normally is way, way, way excessive. But because I'm gonna be fitting this and I know that I'm probably gonna need a little more room in the caboose area, it just kind of made sense to me to leave that extra there, and then I can always cut off the excess when I'm done. So got everything traced out and ready to go. And then from there, it was just a matter of sewing the pieces together. Did this real quick and dirty because this is just our first version for us to try, make sure the fit is how we want it, and then from there I can go in and make my adjustments. So this is the very, very first draft of the mock-up. The way that it's fitting through my waist is pretty close to what I want, because there's a gap in the back, but I want there to be a gap in the back, because if there's not a gap in the back of your corset, it's not actually doing a lot of shaping. But unsurprisingly, for it to be the correct size for up here, my whole butt is out. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave it through the waistline the way it is for now. I'm gonna take out all of the seams on the bottom, let them all out a little bit, and then see if I can get this closer to what I want. And back to the drawing board I went. So I ended up taking out the seams pretty much to about the waist point. I ended up making it a little bit wider in a couple of spots, but you can see how much extra space I really needed there. So just went through, opened everything back up, and then repinned everything with that extra seam allowance so that it basically would close around my butt. So basically I left the top the way that it is, and I pinned it in the back to kind of simulate it being laced up, and then let out all of these seams on the bottom. So now basically it's gonna fit through the bottom, not cinched, and then it'll lace up in the back. That's the current idea. I'm gonna mark all these lines, and then I'm going to rebase them, do one more try on at that point just to make sure that I am on the money. And then at that point, we'll do our markings, we will put some lacing in it, and we'll just make sure that it's gonna give us kind of the shape that we want. But that's where I'm at right now, currently. And it's gonna be shorter than this, but I don't wanna mark that not on me, so we'll do that later. Okay, so it is 2 days after Christmas. And this is where this project is at. Do you remember how I said this was gonna be my like Christmas thing to myself? In fairness to me, work got crazy. I did end up shooting a different thing as like a Christmas set, but I still really wanna work on this. So, and I have a day off for once. So we're gonna take this, we're gonna take it apart. We're gonna use this side because this side is shaping up better. I feel like there's always one side when you draft something that's like, oh, that's the good side. So we're gonna take this apart. We're gonna clean up the seam allowance. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but I marked out kind of roughly where I think the Tinkerbell points are gonna need to go. So I'm gonna cut those out with a little space. Gonna take all these pieces, put all the markings on them, and then from there, I think we'll be able to at least get some stuff cut out today. You know, obviously this isn't going to be something that gets made overnight, but I do still want to work on it just because I didn't get it done as my Christmas thing. Like that was, I never wanted it to be super Christmassy themed. So I feel like I can still work on it and get that nice sense of accomplishment. So let's go. And back off to work we went. First step was taking this entire thing apart, which I feel like seam ripping always takes more time than I think it does. I'm pretty sure I'd spend an hour getting everything apart, and then we cut everything out. I probably should have transferred this onto paper, but I didn't. So yeah. Sometimes I don't do things the way I'm supposed to, guys, okay? But we cut it out of our coutil. We did 2 layers of coutil and then 1 of the fashion fabric, because basically the plan is to flat back the coutil onto the fashion fabric for 1 of the layers so that we can have the 2 structured layers. I went in and serged everything just to make sure that the edges didn't fray, because anytime you're working with a woven fabric, that is going to threaten to happen. And we went through and put all of the pieces together. I also marked the boning channels off at this point. I don't think that I filmed that, but the goal at this point was just to get the internal structure ready to go. All right, so this is the structural innards of the body for Tink. I'm pretty happy with where the points are landing right now. Pretty happy with the shape. It's not super cinched right now. It's not super sculpted, but I think that the way that the hips are coming out is still giving kind of the like pin-up hourglass shape I want. I added a decent amount onto the back panels because the way that I like to do lacing in the back is I like to fold that over. So this will all basically get folded like so. Which means, honestly, I still probably made this a little big because it means I'm going to be able to fully lace it. But that's not the end of the world. I think that it will still give the look that I want. And I'm not taking these apart, bro. I'm not doing it. I'm going to put the fashion layer together for the body. And then I'm going to top stitch the fashion layer to this inner structural layer. I'm going to cut all my bones, insert all the bones, and then put the bra cups in. So actually, I guess I should do that before I stay stitch. I'm gonna put the fashion layer together just so I can kind of look at it, but then I'm gonna do the bones and then I'll stay stitch them together. Okay, that's the situation, that's the plan. All right, break. And at that point, it was just a question of putting the Dupioni layer together. Really simple, pretty much all straight seams. And then I didn't film it, but this is just a reminder that anytime you're working on, especially something like this, where you really want it to lay very clean, you want to press all those seams open. So I didn't film it, but do it, because I did it, I promise. It was just off camera, because I don't know why. Okay, so we've got the outer layer done. I need to press all these seams out. I just pinned it up just to kind of look at it. I really like this fabric for this. I really like this particular shade of green. It feels like it could be a leaf, you know? And then the Dupioni gives it a nice little bit of tooth. I think I'm gonna end up putting some rhinestones on it because I don't think it feels quite magical enough on its own, but I have to go to work. So that's gonna be it for now. And then we'll work on the bones tomorrow and maybe the cups. We'll see. We'll see where we get to, but that's the plan. But right now, gotta go to capitalism, so. So it has been a crazy week. I haven't been able to get as much work done on Tinkerbell as I have wanted to because I've had a bunch of stuff going on. But one of the other pieces that I needed, actually 2 of the pieces that I needed for it got here. First off, the boning I ordered came. Most excitingly though, my wings are here. So we're gonna open those because this is so exciting. Okay, and we have our wings. So they are by Once Upon a Fairy Dream on Etsy. They are steel cut, rose gold Tinkerbell wings. And this U goes into, in this case, it'll go into the back of the corset, but it looks like it can also go in your bra. I'm gonna see if I can put them into my sports bra just to see what it looks like. Okay, so this is the first try on of the Tink wings. They are a little high up right now because I just put them in the back of my t-shirt. And I'm in a sports bra, so it's up pretty high, but they fit down in there pretty comfortably. They're pretty light. I was worried they were gonna be heavy. They're definitely kind of like I went into the hallway to show my husband, and I definitely am gonna have to keep in mind getting through doors in them. But the main thing that I'm planning to do with them is a photo shoot, so it's not a huge deal. I really like the kind of diaphanous, like the kind of like oil slick hollow that they used on them. I'm pretty pleased. I'm pretty pleased with them. They are, like I said, they're up really high in this, but I think when they are in the corset that they're gonna work a lot better. So we'll see what happens. Actually, let's just play pretend for a second. So we have Tink right here, which I'm actually also gonna be doing some work on today. Like, that's pretty. That's pretty. Like, that's gonna be really fun. I'm excited. I am noticing, I have my lights back there. I am noticing that the wings are really picking up the glare. So I think I'm gonna have to think about that in terms of what lighting setup I do when I shoot this, because we are planning to do a studio shoot. But yeah, so enough playing with the shiny thing though. Let me go do some actual work and work on the corset. So the next thing on my hit list was the bra cups. I realized I was out of my boning, so I did the bra cups first. I just got them put together. It was a layer of the Catil and a layer of my fashion fabric. I had to resize them a bunch to make sure that they would kind of fit my cup size, but I ended up really happy with them in the end. Got the tops folded over, and then this wasn't in the instructions, but I decided to take just a little piece of binding and just put it over that edge and hand sew it, just because I felt like that might be a little bit more comfortable for me on the inside, and it just makes it look a little nice and finished. Then the boning I ordered finally came. We did spiral steel through the sides, through any place that was curved, and then straight spiral or straight steel in the front and the back, just so it would have a little bit more stability. Then once the bones were in, I effectively closed the top and the bottom up, just so that the bones couldn't slide out and fall around while I did the rest of the work I needed to do. And then from there, we could go in and we could attach the bra cups so that the whole thing would kind of be in one piece, wearable, look-at-able, decide if there's any tweaks I want to make-able. Okay, so it is my day off. I did something new with my hair. I kind of look like a Cocker Spaniel, but we're not going to worry about that. My goal for today, the dress is basically put together at this point, right? The bones are in, the cups are in. At this point, my main thing that I'm going to focus on is the closure in the back. I want to get this folded over so that I can put my last bones in, put my grommets in. Basically, I want to be able to lace this up by the end of today. That is the goal right now. And then maybe if I have time, I'll hem it. Maybe, you know, we'll see. We'll see how far I get. But right now, that is the goal, is for this to be where I can put it on and wear it and make any tweaks that I might want to make to like the length or anything like that, and then finish her up. So we're gonna try to go ahead and do that. Let's go. Okay. We got it folded over. We got those last bones in. It was the same process, so I didn't see the need to film it again. And then from there, we could go in and plan out our lacing. I ended up marking every inch and then decided that was a little excessive. So I just did every 2 inches, took my grommet press out, did the grommets. This is real simple. I'm so glad I bought this thing. I hate hammering grommets in so much. If you make corsets at all, spend the $60, get one. Okay, so this is the first wear test where I can actually put this on and wear it, and I'm pretty happy with it. I feel like I might want to tighten the cups just a little bit, so I'd like a little bit more support. I might also just put some inner cups in there. I'm not 100% sure. The shape is all right. I definitely think I could have stood to make it a little bit smaller so that I would be a little bit more like, but whatever, it's fine. It just means it'll be comfortable for me to wear to conventions. I just put some white lacing in it for now just to test it, and I'm pretty happy with it. Let's see how it looks with the wings, because I'm very curious. Wings. Let's see if I can do this by myself, because I didn't even think about it, if I can do it. Okay, I can do it by myself. They slide in just fine. Proportion-wise, they look really good, actually. Like, when I had them on my t-shirt, obviously they were up really high. Now they are sitting where they're supposed to sit. They look really pretty. Like I said, I can still kind of flap them a little bit. They kind of bounce when I walk. I'm really happy with it. gonna hem it, obviously, and then at that point it'll just be about rhinestones, the couple of rhinestones I want to add, and those are actually out for delivery as we speak. So if I can get this to the point where it is completely ready to put stones on, then I can literally kind of map out my stone design when they get here and hopefully finish that in the next couple days and maybe have everything done by like next weekend. Wouldn't that be crazy? Wouldn't that be incredible? So fingers crossed, but I think it's gonna work out. I think it's gonna be really cute. So we are in my living room right now because we're gonna be doing some stonework and the space is better ventilated out here. I'm using E6000. In the smaller space, I would have to wear the respirator. Out here, I have enough ventilation that I should be fine. And also this way I can stone and watch a movie, which is my current plan. I'm feeling like something spooky tonight. Like part of me wants to watch Terrifier 2 because I haven't had a chance to see it, but I feel like my husband will be sad if I watch it without him. So I might put on like one of the Saw movies maybe, or I guess I could just put the first Terrifier on. That would make sense. Let me see if I can find that someplace. Either way, I put some seam binding on the top and the bottom of the dress. So that's that little slightly darker bit. And I'm probably gonna sew the back of the skirt together, but I'm gonna wait to do that because I think it's gonna be easier to do my stones with it flat like this, right? And in terms of what stones I have some paradots, some AP paradots. I don't know. There we go. So those are like a light green. Also my birthstone, so I just thought that was kind of neat. And then I have some just regular clear ABs. So maybe it'll focus on this. Yeah, focus on the stones. Okay, it does want to focus on those ones. But I have those. I have these bright green ones that I got for something else, but I am debating on if I'm going to use these. I feel like they might be too much. And then I also have, this guy is mostly purples, but there are some ABs over here. So I have some that are like a little smaller. So I figure I can kind of use those to blend things a little bit if I need to. Like, oh, and I have these little ones that I've been saving. And I was like, oh, this would be the perfect project for them. Look, look, look. They're little stars. Is it? Yeah, look, they're little stars. They're little AB stars. So I think those would be really pretty. Right now, I think my thought process is we're gonna do some at the top of the cups, and then I kind of wanna do some kind of on the ends of each of these little leaf peaks. I think that'll look really pretty, give almost like a dewdrop kind of energy. But yeah, that's my current plan. We're gonna put on a nice gory horror movie and put glittery rhinestones on a fairy dress because I am a complex person, okay? Okay. And then while we're here, I'm going to talk about the main way that I like to do stones now. I learned it working at the current showgirl job that I have, and it is so much easier than every other way. You basically make a little puddle of your glue. So you see I have a little piece of E6000 on this backing card, and then you pick a little bit of that up with a pin. You pick up your stone on the pin, which I apparently could not get in focus. And then from there, you literally just take your stone, you press it down, you slide the pin out, and it will stay exactly where you want without a ton of excess glue. So at that point, I just had to take that process and do it over and over and over again. I actually find rhinestoning really, really therapeutic because it is something where you kind of can turn your brain off a little bit and you just set stones and you look at the shiny things, especially for this because I didn't have a super intense pattern planned. I just started laying stones down in a way that looked nice to me and then kind of built on it and then tried to kind of replicate it on the other side. So sometimes I'll go in with a very specific pattern in mind, but usually I will go in and kind of just start playing around and start getting stuff to look the way that I want. Took me a couple of hours. I think I got through Terrifier and at least one of the Saw movies. I watched a couple of Saw movies this night, but I can't remember how many of them were stoning time. And in the end, I ended up with way more concentrated stones on the top and the bottom, but I did end up putting some stones kind of along the whole body just because it made it feel a little bit more filled out and a little bit more magical. And I'm really happy with how this came together, I gotta say. Okay, so this is the first try on with the wings and the rhinestones and everything together. And the dress is done. I'm really, really happy with it. I feel like it's really pretty. I think the amount of rhinestones I did is like the perfect amount because it feels like magical, but it's not so much that it doesn't feel kind of organic still. I feel like you can't really see on camera just how sparkly it is. But it's very sparkly and very pretty. And my wings are very shiny and very pretty. And at this point, the last thing that we need to do is the shoes. So I'm gonna go put some street clothes on. We're gonna talk shoes. Okay, so the dress is done. Let's talk about shoes. So I am trying to do this in the most kind of classic retro pinup way possible. Tinkerbell wears flats. So how are we gonna kind of square that circle? I am a really big fan of, there's a pinup artist named George Petty, and he makes some of my favorite pinups, and he uses point shoes a lot because I think he's really into the line. He really loves kind of finishing the foot in that way. So a lot of his pinups will be in point shoes, even when they absolutely should not be. There have been, like, he used to do the Ice Capades publicity stuff, and they would be basically in point shoes with like skates on them. They're very silly looking. This is a moment for me to get on my soapbox for a second as somebody who took ballet for 15 years. If you are not somebody who is trained in ballet, you should not be wearing point shoes. You can really, really hurt yourself. Like, you could snap your ankles if you try to get up on point in them. And I could have just bought a pair of point shoes and not gone up on point because, yes, I did ballet for 15 years, but I have not actively danced since I was 18. Which is over a decade ago now. Oh God, I'm old. So I know I don't have the strength to try to go on point and not harm myself, right? It's not even worth it for me. So what we're gonna do instead is we're gonna be using these. Okay, so these are Jessica Simpson point shoe flats. So you see how they have the toe box like a point shoe would. I got them on clearance right after Christmas for like 30 bucks. I would have liked to get them in a nude. That would have made my life easier. But of course, they did not have a nude. They only had them in my size in black. But that's not a huge deal because what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take all this 47,000 pieces of paper out of here. Jeez, do you think they gave me enough paper? What we're gonna do is I'm gonna cut off this elastic because this crisscross is not what we're gonna do, and also it's black. We're going to take this loop off on the back, and then we are going to be using Angelus leather paint. I just realized that I got two different colors. I thought that I got two avocados, but I got one avocado and one olive. So let's hope this one avocado is gonna do it, because if not, I don't know what to do. And normally you would kind of block off the sole because you wouldn't want the sole to get painted. I think we're gonna try to paint the whole thing because I feel like a black sole on the bottom of this is gonna kind of like ruin my fantasy. Now, granted, the second that I walk out in the world, I'm sure that'll come right off, but I'm gonna shoot this before I do anything else, right? So I think that as long as I can keep it relatively pristine and green for the shoot, then that's acceptable. So we're gonna take this elastic off, we're gonna deglaze these, and then we're gonna paint them. So let's go. And project shoes. So I don't always use leather deglazer, but because these were brand new shoes, I definitely felt like it was worth it, because any kind of like protective stuff that is on the shoe is going to be fresh and you don't want the paint to slide right off. So I just put a little bit of that on a paper towel. You can use a cotton ball or whatever, and you just kind of wipe it all over the whole thing. It's just going to take that upper barrier off so that it will hold the paint a little bit better. And then from there, I took my paint. We ended up using the color Avocado. I don't know what I'm going to do with the other one that I got in the wrong color, so don't worry about that. And just put a little bit on a paper plate, used a little paintbrush, and you want to do several thin coats rather than one chunky coat. The first time that I used this, I was like, it's not covering. Oh my God, what am I going to do? But you just have to do a couple of coats. You do them thin, you let them dry in between, and the nice thing about this stuff is it will stay flexible. It's not going to crack. If you tried to do this with acrylic paint or with like spray paint, you would not have this clean of a result. It would crack the minute that you started to walk on it, and we don't want that because that's not cute. And then from there, I added some ribbons on, the same ribbon we're using to close up the corset, and then I clipped on our puffs, and it was time to go and get her shot. And then from there, it was just a question of shooting the photos. My husband was sweet enough to help me shoot them, which always makes things so much easier than having to shoot on my own. Just did a dark green backdrop because I felt like that would make me pop the most without being like super Christmassy or super cartoony or anything. And I was really, really happy with the way that everything came together. And here is the final result. I am so happy with how they came out. My husband made the cutest stool for me to pose on. The pieces all came together really well, and overall, I'm just really, really happy with this as my first big build of the year. The entire photo set will be up on my Patreon if that is something you're interested in, as well as seeing videos early. You can also follow me over on Instagram, TikTok, all the stuff will be down in the thing. If you feel like it, subscribe, comment. It gives me serotonin, but I'm not going to make you if you don't feel like it. I'm not your mom. And I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, bye.